Hey guys, it's the Keto King here, and today we have a really fun video. We're going to be talking about keto and alcohol. Yep, don't we all love that poison called alcohol? But I'm sure you guys have questions like, can I drink alcohol while in ketosis? Should you drink alcohol on keto? Does alcohol stop ketosis or kick you out of ketosis? What is the best alcohol to drink while on keto or on a low carb diet? What about wine and keto, beer and keto, liquors and keto? Well, I have the answers to all of those questions in this video, so let's get right to it. So for those of you guys who are really impatient, let's start out with this. Can I drink alcohol on keto? And the answer is sure, you absolutely can. It's perfectly fine to drink alcohol in moderation while you're on a low carb or keto diet, or as I like to call it, a keto lifestyle. But if you're really pushing it to lose that weight in keto, perhaps you have just a few extra kgs or pounds to lose, before you and I pick up the next alcoholic drink, we have a few really important points you should know about before we delve into each individual types of alcohol and the best types of alcohol to drink on keto. One, you have to be aware of the carb and calorie counts of the alcohol you're drinking. Now you have to bear in mind that alcohol is caloric. Your body has absolutely no mechanism to store that energy in alcohol. So your body metabolizes that alcohol before any other energy sources. So what this means is you ingest the alcohol, and so while your body immediately starts metabolizing that alcohol, it is not metabolizing any fat in your body. So as you don't need a rocket science degree for this, if your body's metabolizing alcohol and not fat, you're not burning any fat. Now while generally consuming alcohol will not kick you out of ketosis, it will delay your results. What it just means is that the fat burning will be on hold while your body's burning and metabolizing that alcohol. Once that alcohol is gone from your body, it will revert back to using the fat and burning the ketones for your energy source. Now bear in mind, everyone reacts differently to alcohol. So just because I say generally it won't kick you out of ketosis, for some people it may. I had a comment on the YouTube post I made asking for input on this video on what you'd like me to discuss, and someone said they're fine. One shot of alcohol is fine, but if they do two, it kicks you out of ketosis, or it kicks them out of ketosis. Now if you have keto sticks or something that you can test whether you're in ketosis or not, that would be something you could do and check how your body reacts to the alcohol and whether you in fact are kicked out of ketosis. Alternatively, you could just try assess how you feel, your energy levels. If you have immense cravings the next day, then potentially you may have been kicked out of ketosis. But as I said, if you stick to the right alcohols for keto, this will likely not happen to you. Number two, before we dive into the different types of alcohols, ketosis lowers your alcohol tolerance. I read that all over the internet, but it was absolutely not needed because I have experienced this firsthand. Look, I'm not the guy who can handle the most alcohol at the table, but I can tell you what, your tolerance decreases dramatically. So you got to be really careful when drinking alcohol on a keto diet. The same applies if you're planning on driving that night, so please just exercise extreme caution with that. Obviously linked to that point is the hangover, and again from personal experience I can tell you the hangover is the worst you will ever experience in your life. Quick story, I went to Mexico once at one of those all-inclusive resorts. We had a massive bender on the first night that we were there. I promise you I ruined the next day, and by ruined that's a massive understatement. I have never been so sick in all my life. I literally couldn't take more than 3 steps without throwing up. By the end of the day, or the end of the morning, I had absolutely nothing left in my stomach and was just dry heaving the entire day. Again, I've warned you, so tread lightly with the alcohol. Point 4. Many people experience heightened levels of hunger when drinking alcohol. Obviously, your inhibitions are lowered. It just makes it that much more difficult to make the right choices for your keto lifestyle after you've had a couple drinks. So you obviously need to factor that into account, and if you are already struggling a little bit with your keto lifestyle and maintaining a balance and being able to make the right choices, I would steer clear of the alcohol. And you're only going to make your life a lot more difficult, and you're going to end up making poor choices and throwing out all that hard work you've done in your keto lifestyle. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not discouraging alcohol here. I'm just giving you the facts so you guys can make, firstly, the right decisions in terms of whether you want to drink alcohol in your keto lifestyle or not. But secondly, so you can make the right choices if you decide to drink alcohol on keto. So let's get into the individual types of alcohol that you should be drinking and those types of alcohol you should not be drinking on a keto lifestyle. Alright, so let's start off with the good stuff, the liquors or distilled spirits. So liquors and distilled spirits are the same thing. It's an alcoholic beverage that has been distilled rather than fermented like beer and wine. So distilled spirits basically include anything you'll find behind the bar, including things like whiskey, vodka, gin, and a list of liqueurs. Now, liqueurs are distilled spirits, but they are sweetened. So obviously, liqueurs you want to be avoiding with your life. For example, here, this is Cointreau. It even says liqueur on the bottle right there, up at the top, if you can see that, liqueur. Not all of them say liqueur on the bottle, but these are sweetened. These contain sugar. This bottle of Cointreau, I actually looked it up, it has per 1.5 ounces, which is a shot, it contains 11 grams of net carbs, which is ridiculous. So you've got to be really careful. One of these shots that go in a cocktail, and you're going to be in big trouble in terms of trying to stay on track with your keto lifestyle. So which distilled spirits can you drink? Well, vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whiskey, brandy, cognac, provided they are all unsweetened. Now, I'm not talking about unsweetened in terms of liqueurs that are sweetened. I'm talking about things like vodka. So you get a vodka like this, Absolute Vodka Vanilla, and you get a variety of flavors of vodka and other types of liquors that are in fact flavored. Now, these are most of the time flavored with something that has carbohydrates in. So again, you want to avoid the sweetened liquors. You just want to stick with the good old plain unsweetened vodka or other liquors. Next tip is you should make sure your distilled spirits or liquors are 80 proof or higher. Hey Keto King, what the heck does 80 proof mean? Good question. Well, proof is defined as twice the alcohol content by volume. So as you know, usually the alcohols are measured by ABV, which is alcohol by volume. So a 40% alcohol liquor, such as most of these here, means that 40% of the bottle is alcohol. So because proof is defined as twice the alcohol content by volume, an 80 proof bottle of liquor means it'll have a 40% ABV. Now if you take a look here, I just happen to have this bottle of rye whiskey, Canadian rye. For those of you who haven't tried it, give it a go, it's not too bad. But if you look on here, it says 90 proof on there. So question to you guys, what does that mean the ABV is here? And without looking, the ABV is 45 because the proof is just twice the ABV. So what you want in your liquors that you're drinking are 80 proof or 40% alcohol and higher. Because typically those with the 40% ABV have 0 grams of carbs in them. In terms of macros, these liquors run on average 64 calories per ounce. Now a shot or a jigger, which is usually 1.5 ounces, is 96 calories. Remember, you still need to be cognizant of the calories you're taking in with this alcohol that you're drinking. Now, have you heard someone say, clear liquors are the way to go, they're the best things to drink, either just generally, or they're the clear liquors are the best things to drink on keto? Yeah, I've heard that before, and you know what, they're not entirely wrong. Now, consuming large amounts of darker liquor such as brandy can increase the severity of hangovers. And now here's why. The darker drinks contain a higher concentration of cogeners, toxic compounds that are formed when alcohol is fermented. Now, one study in a journal of alcoholism, clinical and experimental research found that bourbon drinkers experience significantly worse hangovers than those who reach the same blood alcohol level consuming vodka. Now, bourbon has 37 times as many congeners as vodka does. So, you may get a worse hangover with the darker liquors, but the 40% ABV dark liquors do not have any more or any higher carbs than the clear liquors. So really, your choice is up to you. If you're looking at the carbohydrate content of your liquors, dark, clear, anything goes as long as it's 40% ABV and is unsweetened. So thanks for that question, Wanketa. She posted a question on the post I put on my YouTube page where I asked for input about what you guys wanted to hear on this video. So yes, Tree Healthy for Life, tequila is good to drink on a keto diet. It is 40% ABV, it is unsweetened, so contains 0 grams of carbs, so absolutely go ahead, have a tequila shot. Now you're saying, Keto King, great, we can drink all night, vodka, tequila, whiskey, but not everyone likes drinking hardtack on their own. So we need to talk about mixers. All this talk of alcohol has got me keen. I'm a single malt scotch type of guy, so I'm going to pour myself a little Aberfeldy 12-year-old single malt Highland scotch. I like to drink it just with a few blocks of ice. This is keeping it keto, 0 grams of carbs in here. Got the ice, obviously 0 carbs in that. This is how I like to drink it. But of course, not everyone likes drinking this hardtack neat like this. So let's get into the mixtures that you can use with these liquors. Okay, so for mixers, the easiest things that you can use and the ones you'll be happiest using are mixing your liquors with water, club soda, or diet soda. These all keep the carbs at 0 grams. Now I know some people have different ideas and personal preferences on diet soda, but I'm just talking about it from the perspective of keeping it keto while drinking alcohol. A couple pointers and warnings here. Tonic contains sugar and carbs. Now I'm sure most of you know that, but I see a ton of people thinking, oh, I'm drinking a gin and tonic. This doesn't taste sweet. This can't have sugar in. It absolutely does. It's in fact extremely high, just as high as a regular pop or soda that you will be drinking. So avoid the tonic. You do get some diet tonics out there. I have seen them. So if gin and tonics are your thing, go ahead and use the diet tonic instead. If you're a martini lover, just know that vermouth does contain carbs. So if you have to have a martini, order it extra dry. Just a few drops of vermouth in there probably won't raise the carb level up too much for you. Next warning is cordials. So you get lime cordials. In South Africa where I'm from, you get a passion fruit cordial, which I don't think you get around here in North America. But all of those cordials are full of sugar. They basically are only sugar in there. So don't be ordering a vodka lime cordial and soda water or club soda, because that's going to be full of sugar and you're going to think you're drinking something good that you can drink on keto, but it's not going to work for you. Now you can absolutely get creative with your mixers. You can try a club soda type here, which is flavored, but it's naturally flavored. If you look at the ingredients list, it doesn't have any sugar. It doesn't have any ingredients that is going to contain sugar. So something like this would work. Alternatively, you get some sweetener drops like this. These are stevia water drops, which you can use. You could put those in your drink. So maybe have a vodka with soda or club soda, mix in with a couple drops of these if you really need that sweet kick with your mixes. What I would encourage you guys though is to actually move away from these sweet mixers or anything sweet, to be honest. What we're trying to do on this keto diet is reprogram our brain. We're trying to get away from the constant cravings for sugars, get away from tasting everything and craving sweet foods. Now I can tell you, moving on to a keto lifestyle and cutting out all that unnecessary sugar is really going to help you reprogram and rewire your brain. but it's really going to hurt you if you continually having these sweet drinks, even if they are zero carb. It's going to hurt you because it's just going to continue fueling that drive, that connection in your brain saying, I need something sweet, I want something sweet. So I encourage you guys to really try and focus on that and go for the mixers that aren't sweet. Go for a club soda, maybe with some really light flavoring, like something like this, or alternatively try the water or club soda. Now, as I mentioned earlier, cocktails are pretty much off limits from the word go. You just want to avoid them because firstly, you don't know what you're going to get in them. They are often mixed with a bunch of simple sugars, mixed with a bunch of liqueurs. You heard what I said. 11 grams of sugar in 1.5 ounces of this bad boy, which is going to be just one part in a cocktail. Absolute madness. Not going to work for you guys on a keto lifestyle. With one exception, try order a mojito. Now, mojitos typically are lime, mint, vodka, and club soda. However, they do generally add a simple sugar to that to make it sweet. So you can try and order a mojito. Say to them, no sugar. All I want is the lime, the mint, the vodka, and the club soda. And I can tell you guys, that is an amazing drink for a hot summer's day. Sitting out by the pool. If you're really feeling like you want something more cocktail-like, go ahead and order that mojito like that. Alternatively, make that at home. It's really simple to do and makes for an absolutely delicious drink. That for me is the only cocktail I can think of that could potentially work. If you guys know of any other cocktails that could possibly be keto friendly, let me know in the comments section below. Alright, next we're going to move on to wine and keto. Oh, don't we all love a wine? A nice glass of red wine with a great meal, or some white wine on a nice hot summer's day. Yep, absolutely, some wine is great, but can we be drinking this wine on keto, and which ones are the best to drink? So, wines really are one of the most difficult ones to judge because the amount of carbs and sugar in the wine is based on a number of factors. But what I'll do is just give you a number of averages for, let's start with red wine. So for red wine, with a 5-ounce serving, Merlot is 120 calories, 3.7 grams of carbs. A Pinot Noir runs at 121 calories on average, 3.4 grams of carbs. And a Cabernet runs at about 120 calories, 3.8 grams of carbs. Those are generally some good choices you could make in terms of the red wines that you're drinking. For the white wines, for a 5-ounce serving, Sauvignon Blanc is again 3 grams of sugar. A Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, as asked by Jackie Prito in my YouTube post where I asked for some input on this video, and it runs at 122 calories at roughly 3.2 grams of carbs per 5-ounce serving. Chardonnay, 118 calories, 3.7 grams of carbs. Riesling, 118 calories, 5.5 grams of carbs. Now, probably one of the best white wines to drink is actually a sparkling wine. These can typically run 96 calories and approximately 1.5 grams of carbs per glass. However, you need to be careful what type of sparkling wine it is labeled as. So you get a Brut Zero or Brut Nature or Nature. That's where there's no sugar added. This only uses the natural sweetness of the wine. You then get Extra Brut, which is 0 to 6 grams of sugar per liter, which is less than 1 gram per glass. You then get Brut, which is the common one you guys see on the sauce that says Brut. That contains generally, again, between 0 to 12 grams of sugar per liter, which is less than 2 grams per glass, depending on how big your sparkling wine glasses are. So Brut is a good choice. Alright, so you then get an extra dry sparkling wine. Don't be fooled, that is sweeter than a Brut. It contains 12 to 17 grams of sugar per liter, which is 3 to 4 grams per glass. You then get dry, which is 17 to 32 grams of sugar per liter, again 5 grams per glass. You then get a demi-sec, which is 32 to 50 grams of sugar per liter, which is 5 to 10 grams per glass. and then you get a dough, which is 50 grams plus of sugar per liter, which is 30 grams plus of sugar per glass. So dough's out of the question. Really, you want to drink something like a brut that's generally a good choice. It's going to be really low in carbs. And hey, who doesn't like a lovely glass of sparkling wine? One thing to note though, when I was talking about the red and the white wines, those quantities were per 5 ounces. So we roughly talked around 3 to 4 grams of sugar per 5 ounce serving. But I can promise you, if you're pouring yourself a glass of wine on a Sunday or maybe after work on a weeknight and you want to just wind down, I bet you're not pouring a 5 ounce serving for yourself. The only time you're gonna get a 5 ounce serving is in a restaurant where they tell you they serve 5 ounces of wine. Let's do a test here. I've got my handy little scale here, and I've got a link to a scale on Amazon which is really affordable and good quality. You can check it out in the description box of this video. Okay, so we're going to zero this out. I'm going to pour until 5 ounces. Alright, nailed it. This is a 5 ounce glass of wine here. Now, if you're looking to me, look, it's not tiny, but generally if I'm pouring it, I'm not going to pour that little red wine in here. So let's see what on average I would pour for myself. Maybe something along these lines. And look at that, I'm already up at 8.5 ounces. Right, so we're talking maybe 9 ounces versus 5 ounces. That's close to double the amount that I've talked about. So now if you're pouring yourself, say, a 10 ounce glass of red wine as opposed to the 5 ounce I've been talking about, you're drinking now 6 to 8 grams of carbs and sugars in the wine instead of the 3 to 4. That's a major difference when thinking, oh, I've only had 2 or 3 glasses of wine today. So just be cognizant on your serving sizes when factoring in the carbs and sugars in your wine. I'll have a quick little sip of this. Not bad, not bad. Finish up my scotch here so I can continue with that red wine. Okay, and then in the wine category we have dessert wines. Now this is a port, which is a type of dessert wine. You get sherries, which are all sweetened wines. Now the average serving size for a dessert wine is only 2 to 3 ounces. These are typically the types of glasses you would use. Now a fortified wine such as port as this has about 6 grams of sugar in a 2 ounce serving. So again, let's measure this out. That's about a 2 ounce serving there. Oh, it's exactly 2 ounces in fact. And so for this, we've got 6 grams of sugar in here. Is it worth it? Look, you're not downing this. You're sipping it slowly after a meal. It can be really enjoyable. But again, something to be cognizant of. 6 grams of sugar in this. So generally these ports are not a good idea. Definitely not more than 1, that's for sure. I wanted to add one other thing regarding wines. Generally speaking, many commercial wines below or around $10 a bottle have slightly more residual sugar, even for a dry wine. You know, this is because a touch of sugar adds a little bit of body and texture, as well as accentuating the fruit flavors of the wine. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you're looking out for keto and in terms of keeping the residual sugar levels down in the wines that you're drinking, it's a safer bet to spend a little bit more into a really purely dry wine. Now again, this is a general rule. I know there's going to be a lot of exceptions to this. That is something you can take into consideration when purchasing your next bottle of red or white wine. Now Croft789 asked, what about self-made wine? Well, in fact, this bottle of wine here comes from a U-brew. So that's a really applicable question. And unfortunately, the answer is not an easy one, because with a U-brew or wine that you're making yourself, you really just don't know what you're getting. You don't know how much of that sugar has been converted into alcohol. You don't know if additional sugar has been added into the wine, just like I said. And of course, just like with all wine labels, they don't provide the carb or sugar content of the wine, which is ridiculous. I feel like they really should be providing that to us. But without having the carb and sugar content of wines, My guess is that homemade wines will have a slightly higher residual sugar level just because of exactly what I mentioned. The sugar gives it a slightly sweeter, a bit of a better body and texture, and brings out the flavors in the wine. That's why generally the cheaper wines aren't these full-bodied tannin wines. They're ones that taste a little sweeter and a little easier to drink. So I would think a homemade wine would fall more in line with the higher sugar wines than the lower, but again, we just don't have any basis from which to judge. We really cannot tell. The best I could tell you to do is to go and ask a U-brew that you have nearby and say to them, hey, do you know what the sugar content in your wines generally are? And you can say perhaps in your Cab Savs or whatever wine you're particularly looking at. That may be the best way to get an idea in the amount of sugar in the homemade or U-brew wines that you're drinking. Thanks so much for that question. Let me have another sip of this wine and then we'll move on to everyone's favorite, beer. Yes, beer. For maybe the guys and some of the ladies as well, let's not discriminate. Beers are really something that is great and fairly enjoyable, and one of the difficult things in keto, because unfortunately for all of us beer fans out there, most of the good stuff is very high in carbs and calories. But not all is lost. There are some lighter beers that are okay to drink. Now, in doing my research for this video, I found an amazing website called getdrunknotfat.com. I have zero affiliations with that website. It's just something I stumbled across. They have a listing of a whole lot of different beers. I think most of them are from America, but really I'm not sure. Some of them are from Canada too. So go take a look at that website if you really want to find a macro on a specific beer. Here are some of the lightest beers in terms of the carbohydrate content in those beers. I'll read a couple of them. We've got Bud Select 55 at the bottom with 55 calories, 1.9 grams of carbs per 12-ounce serving. Remember, that's a 12-ounce serving, so be careful when you're drinking those pints. It's not going to be 1.9 grams of carbs. MGD 64 calories, 2.4 grams of carbs. We've got a Michelob Ultra at 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. Bud Select at 99 calories, 3.1 grams of carbs. Miller Lite, 96 calories, 3.2 grams of carbs. Coors Light, 102 calories, 5 grams of carbs. Amstel Light, 95 calories, 5 grams of carbs. Bud Light, 110 calories, 6.6 grams of carbs. So now those are the lightest beers that you can drink. And look, that's not going to derail you in terms of your keto lifestyle. So there are some options. In my personal opinion, I don't like those beers. My favorite and Achilles heel are craft beers. Something like this beautiful Fat Tug IPA is something I absolutely love. Unfortunately, my keto lifestyle does not love it. So something like an IPA, the nutritional content of an IPA really does vary by manufacturer. Similar to wine, varies by ingredients in the brewing process. Most beers contain a really large amount of carbohydrates. Now, because of the IPA's greater content of hops, IPA have more carbohydrates than the average beer. While pale ales contain about 10 to 14 grams of carbohydrates, IPAs can have up to 20 grams of carbs or more per 12-ounce bottle. This is much bigger than a 12-ounce bottle. Now, some ISAs, which is an Indian session ale, an IPA is an Indian or India pale ale. An ISA can be lower in carbohydrates, but you're really not going to get away with less than 10 grams of carbs per beer. You also get things like double and triple IPAs, which have a much higher malt and hop content than regular IPAs, and of course, accordingly, have a greater carbohydrate and alcohol content. If you're looking for some IPA macros, take a look online, but again, that's not going to help you because craft breweries, that's what they are. They're craft, they're small, they are microbreweries, they're doing things their own way, so you really don't know what you're getting. But again, you're not getting less than 10. For an IPA, you're probably getting 20 grams or more worth of carbs in it. So these craft beers, you really need to drink with caution. Again, remember the serving size that I mentioned. All of those carbohydrates were per 12 ounces. So let's take a crack open at this one. This is again also a U-brew beer, but it falls under the craft beer category. This is in fact a Scotch ale. So now this glass really isn't a big glass. You can see it's not even the size, it's about the size of my hand. This is a 14-ounce pour. Now I'm using one of these big bottles. There's still plenty beer left in here. So this is 14 ounce. It's going to be more than the quoted numbers of carbohydrates. So again, be careful. If you're getting a pint at a pub, it's going to be substantially more carbohydrates than those that I've just quoted. Look guys, I get it. Ooh, these beers, these alcohol drinks are really good. They're hard to resist. But what I can tell you is that there are right and wrong choices to make on a keto lifestyle when drinking alcohol. I'm going to give you a really brief summary and recap of this video. 1. Booze counts towards your daily calories and carb content. 2. Alcohol delays fat burning. Chances are if you're choosing the right alcohol, it's not going to kick you out of ketosis, but it does delay the fat burning while the alcohol is being metabolized by your body. 3. Ketosis lowers your alcohol tolerance, so take it easy. I've warned you guys. Number 4. Beware of the drunk munchies and a lowering of your ability to make the right choices after a few drinks. Guys, don't underestimate this one. Seriously, this is where you're going to fall short. Let's all be honest, living a keto lifestyle is tough in a lot of respects. You've got to monitor everything that's going in your mouth, and having a few drinks really doesn't do you any favors in the decision-making department. And finally, alcohol dehydrates you, which everyone knows, so order a couple waters. Generally, the rule of thumb is 1 glass of water for 1 shot of alcohol or 1 glass of alcoholic drinks such as a beer or wine. So make sure you do that. Have a 1 or 2 glasses of wine before you go to sleep after having had a couple of drinks, and you should be a-okay the next morning. So guys, while I provided a lot of warnings about drinking alcohol while on keto, living a keto lifestyle does not mean the end of a social life. You can hit up the bars if you simply make the right choices on the types of alcohol you drink on keto. That way you won't undo all of that hard work and effort you put into your keto lifestyle and continue to living that keto lifestyle and reaping all the benefits that come from it. And as I mentioned numerous times throughout this video, I had a bunch of responses to my YouTube posts where I asked for feedback on what you'd like me to talk about in this video. So, as I mentioned, tequila, Tree Healthy for Life, yeah, absolutely go ahead. Pinot Grigio, Jackie Prito, it's a great choice. 3 to 4 grams of carbs per glass. Remember the serving size though. Self-made wine, really hard to tell guys. Croft 7 at 9, you asked that question. So maybe go ask your brewery what they think their sugar content is of the wines that they make. Oh, Philomena S says hot toddy. Now a hot toddy contains honey, so unfortunately a hot toddy is not going to be ideal for a keto diet unless you may be using a really small amount, something less than a teaspoon of honey. Then perhaps a hot toddy could fit into your keto lifestyle. Contran says I drink vodka with water back almost every day on keto diet. Yeah, vodka and water, that's good, but it's pretty hardcore. If you like that, but that's great. You know, that's an absolutely fantastic drink to have. You're avoiding any carbs and you're drinking the water with it. Alright, and then we have Rafael Rocha, probably absolutely butchered that pronunciation, asking about Corona Premier Beer. Well, the Corona Premier Beer has 90 calories and only 2.6 grams of carbs. So if you enjoy that, that's a really good choice on your keto lifestyle. Then Mandy Lovett asks about spiced rum, something like Captain Morgan spiced rum. Now the spice rums really do vary between brands, although you're really not looking at too much per serving here. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum contains about 75 calories per 1¼ ounce serving size and 4 grams of carbs. Captain Morgan Parrot Bay Rum contains 6.24 grams of carbs per fluid ounce. Malibu Rums has 5.1 grams of carbs per ounce, and Bacardi Zero and Bacardi Raz have 3 grams of carbs per fluid ounce. But remember, straight rum does not have any carbs, so straight rum's the way to go. If you do need to go for the spiced rum, yeah, that's fine, but remember, you're going to be drinking roughly between 4 to 5 or 6 grams of carbs per ounce of the spiced rum that you're drinking. I then also had a comment from Magic of Swords. All alcohol is poison and damages your body and mind. Can't live healthy if you drink. Alcohol in Muslim language means body eater for a reason. You know what? I don't disagree with that statement. Alcohol is not doing your body any favors. Your body is metabolizing the alcohol. It's stopping burning the fat. You're dehydrating yourself. All of which is not good for weight loss and overall well-being. So yes, alcohol is detrimental to our body, so you need to take that into account. But again, I hope I've given you all the information you need to make the right choices if you do decide to have alcohol in your keto lifestyle. I have spoken in a lot of generalities in this video, and there are absolutely exceptions to a lot of the things I've said. So if you spotted an exception to something I've said, let me know in the comment section below. It's not only helping me, it's helping the rest of the keto community as well. So put that down in the comment section below. If there's anything I didn't touch on that you'd like to know, also let me know in the comment section. I love chatting to you guys. Like this video if you found it helpful, and of course subscribe to the Keto King channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. So here's to happy drinking, my keto family. No, that's not right. Here's to happy drinking, my keto family. And of course, keep it keto.